Welcome back to the BackCountry Pa Podcast. You got Cody.
You have Ethan.
And on this one, it's a fishing one.
Yeah.
Purely fishing.
We wanted turkey. We planned turkey.
Well, we wanted to dabble in turkey in this one, but we planned it for the trout.
Yeah.
Purely just for trout. So a lot of trout information in this one. We talked at the very beginning, we talked about like whitetails, how they were able to be successful during the season with the bucks that they both got. Sebastyan got one early, and Josh got one during rifle in the big woods. Mm-hmm. So these guys, Sebastyan and Josh, are just a few of the guys from Allegheny Origins.
Yes.
In Pennsylvania here, the YouTube channel. Go subscribe to their channel. Good channel. Has trail riding for bikes, which I've been watching a good amount. Haven't watched recently any. They have good fishing stuff, which it's hard to film fishing. But I think we'll try. I didn't tell Ethan yet.
Oh.
But I got the green light for opening weekend.
There you go.
Yep. So
nice.
I have the green light to come up.
Sweet.
Yeah, so that's going to be fun. And then they have a bunch of deer stuff on there. They're trying turkey too.
A little bit of everything.
They have literally it's everything on there.
Yeah.
They even have camping too, I think it is.
Yeah. Cutting trees.
Yeah.
I just watched that one today.
Yeah. So they have pretty much everything on their channel. A really, really fun episode. Lots of information in this one about trout fishing.
Yeah.
Fly fishing primarily, but like you can kind of convert that to spinner fishing or if you got bait cast or whatever.
If you're one of them.
if you're one of them guys. The push button ones too. If you have that,
Yes.
you can.
Those are the real fishermen.
That's the real fisherman there. But yeah, it was a fun one. Talk a little bit about Class A streams, which I know what that was. There's other classes, but we touched on Class A. Yeah, lots of information. We have. There's a good tip in here for anyone new in the trout of what map you should be checking out to go check that out. It's really, really informative episode. Loved it. But before we get to the episode, remember to go check out our partners and our main sponsor, title sponsor of the episode and podcast, YouTube channel in general, is XOP. Been working with them for 3 years now. Really awesome guys. Have a few episodes planned for them in the near future.
Nice.
And then deer age, of course. Get your deers aged or bare or
anything
whatever
that has
you get.
Teeth.
Yeah. We have a discount code in the description, the show notes of this podcast. Use that code. It helps support us and Deer Age at the same time. We get a little bit of money from that as well. And then OnX, obviously, it's our mapping service. Camp Co., which is where I wish I had the cat hat near me. It's actually behind me right now. But that's who's selling our hats now. I think it's $3 from every order goes to a conservation effort. So every hat you get, $3 of that goes to a conservation effort of our choice at the end of the month or end of every quarter. I'm not sure how that works. But that's primarily what's happening there. He makes everything homemade. He made the wooden European mount back there.
Of course, everything's behind you.
Yeah, everything's behind me, behind the camera. But yeah, so those are our partners right now. We have one in the works currently. Nothing official yet, so I don't want to say who it is just yet.
Stay tuned, folks.
Stay tuned for that. But remember, guys, to keep hunting,
keep fishing,
and enjoy the freaking process. Enjoy episode 240. Talking about fishing, turkey. Josh, I've been watching your trail videos. I just been watching them, so I like them. My wife was like, "How the hell? You're not gonna be doing that, are you?" She's like, "How?" She's like, "You're not gonna be doing that." I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna be doing that. That looks way too dangerous for me."
Good time.
It does look like fun. It does look like a lot of fun. I just, the reason I started watching because I got it like a new bike. Well, not a new bike to me, off Facebook Marketplace. It's not. Yeah. I don't think it's the type you have. It's an Ozark Trail Glide, I believe it's called. But it's like a
Walmart brand.
Yep. It's a fat tire bike with I think it's 8 gears, and it has front suspension on it.
Yeah, I mean, I tell everybody, ride what you got. I mean, they all do the same thing. They go downhill. Just depends if you want to be comfortable or not.
Yeah, I upgraded the seat though. I got one of those cushiony seats instead of like the one. I took the one that was on the bike and put it on my old bike that I gave to my dad, and it's like one of those like it literally would just cover your ass crack and your ball sack. And it's this thing would hurt.
That's how most of
That's what we ride. You got to wear a little gooch pad at the beginning of the season.
If you don't wear it, you're hurt, buddy.
Yeah. And I'm over here dying. I'm like, I'm itching to go.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even buy my fishing license yet. I'm slacking.
We've been hitting it pretty good. I mean, I've been trying to streamer fish, so I'm not catching shit right now, but I have the itch to catch like a 20-inch brown. So
okay,
trying.
All right. I was going to say, I mean, we can get into it. How about you guys introduce yourself to the listeners, to the audience, who you are, the channel you're with, and a little bit about yourself.
Go ahead, Sebes.
Name's Sebastyan Kissel. Back again. Glad to be back. Appreciate you guys having us back on here again. Obviously, our YouTube is Allegheny Origins. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok here and there. Not really that much, but mostly Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Married to Emma, 2 boys, 2.5 and 9 months. So very busy, but still chugging away at the outdoor adventures.
Yep.
Drowning on the videos, stuff like that. Really enjoy getting out there doing. I mean, we already do all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Now we're just video editing, and seem to really like that stuff. So it's been fun. I think we're at it a little over 2 years now. Probably be 3 years in July, I believe. So it's been a good time. The videos have kind of slowed down some just because we all have kids now, but still pumping them out. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a few drop this year, yeah.
Yeah, I'm Josh. Got wife, 2 kids, daughter. They actually both just had a birthday last month. She's 4 and son just turned 1. So definitely busy, hard to get out now, but get out when I can.
I think that's why I like your channel and you guys in general, because like it's very relatable to a lot of just normal people, right? Like you all have kids and you're still getting out as much as you can, but you're also including your kids in the activities as much as you can also. And you're, late nights editing videos, like I've been there, like or early mornings, or just when you have any time possible to edit the videos, or just waiting to edit the videos until like you have like an hour of time. And it's not like you guys put out good videos, but it's not like a crazy cinematic video or really detailed video of like cinematography, right? Like but it's still high quality stuff you guys are putting out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we'll really get into the cinematography stuff. We try here and there with like when we take the drone out, and then we'll throw in some music, get in a lot of stuff. But I'd say most of our videos are vlog style. And I was just telling my wife that you mentioned about taking the kids out that I need to find like a backpack where I could carry one in the front and one in the back, because I feel like eventually they're going to start to get jealous of each other. But because I still take the oldest out when I go hikes or shed hunting or whatever. But yeah, that would be nice. I don't know if they make that, but I might have to figure one out.
I follow one girl and she takes her kids out, but I think her one is like a couple months old, and she takes the other one out that's like 3 years old or something like that. But she has a backpack and then that chest strap that goes on the front of her. Like I've done that before.
Just like a regular harness.
Yeah. So I've done that before, where I took my daughter out on the front of my chest and hung some trail cameras locally to me. But I don't know where I want to go. Like I feel like I need a really nice backpack to carry her, because I'm going to be climbing some big hills, and
maybe a helmet for her.
I've thought about it. Yeah.
Because you hear dunk, dunk, dunk. She'll be hitting every branch on the way through.
Yeah, you do got to watch that. You got to watch the eyeballs.
Yes. I used to take my daughter out a lot with me, and every time, never failed. She'd fall asleep in a pack, and I'd just feel her head back there bobbing. And like, oh yeah, she fell asleep. I'm get back home. Yeah,
but it's almost like riding
it's fun getting them out there.
It's like riding a motorcycle almost. Like my mom personally would always fall asleep on the back of a motorcycle. So like she would fall asleep. My dad would be like, "Is she still back there?" And then he looked back and like, she's asleep back there, like not even making a sound, nothing, like just passed out.
The trust she had, I couldn't fall on a motorcycle. I'd be like, and off I go.
Well, when you have like those big, like when you have like a seat back there where you have like the armrest and the backrest and all that kind of stuff.
Secured. Okay.
Yeah, you're pretty much seat belted in at that point.
Yeah. Okay.
You can't really.
Yeah, I would make sure. I was like, your mom's just like falling. Yeah. She's like, oh no, there she goes. Yeah.
Off on I-83.
Yeah. Going.
Yeah. Like, whoops. So, how did you guys' season go this year? Like in the whitetail woods? I mean, I know fishing. You guys just started fishing now, so like, How did your season go for the whitetails?
I think we all killed something at least this year. I know me and Sebes both killed a buck this year. I believe Smitty he had 2 does this year. I don't think anybody got a turkey this past year either.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a pretty good season for all of us this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got mine October 9th, so definitely the earliest buck I've ever killed. The day after my birthday, actually. It was pretty cool. Josh got a buck and rifle, like you said. Smitty got 2 doe on the first day of rifle. I was filming him for that.
Okay.
Which is pretty sweet. It was a good day. We saw a lot of deer and had a lot of action. So
yeah, I literally watched.
Glad I got to go.
I watched all 3 of those videos today after I woke up. All 3, like the 2 doe, your buck, and your buck. I was like, all right, I gotta watch some of these videos. And I am subscribed because the last guest Natalie, I wasn't subscribed to her YouTube channel. I got a lot of shit for it, so I made sure I was subscribed this time. But I did Sebastyan, your buck, the October 9th. I mean, chasing like it was the rut.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of blown away by the action. There was like a cold front came through like 2 days beforehand, and we actually got that buck on camera literally on the 7th. And that was the first time we ever got it on camera. So me, my dad, and my little brother, we all went out because if you watched the video, you saw my brother killed a buck that day too.
Mm-hmm.
But went out and he sat on the food plot, which is probably like 400 or 500 yards away from me. And I went in a completely different axis and sat on the top of a ridge. And I mean, it didn't really hit until about 6 o'clock, 6:15, and then it was just action packed until I shot that deer. Multiple bucks chasing does. It was, besides like the first day of archery season, which I've had like some pretty crazy first days before with a lot of multiple bucks and does. But this was like, I mean, it was still pretty early, obviously, in the season, but it was pretty intense.
So that deer, for all the listeners, like, how did you set up for him? Like, what was the reason you set up in that spot to have that? Like, were you going in there expecting to shoot a buck? Like, I don't think, any of us go into the woods, like, expecting to shoot a buck, but, like, was it on your mind at all for that deer?
This property, it's private. We lease the property in a different county. But so similar thing happened last year with the buck I killed that we talked about in the last episode. We got it on camera like 2 or 3 days ahead of time, and I went out and just picked the right spot. So with this one, we have the food plot, which is like, I don't know how to explain it. It's on like the southern point of the property, probably like 400 or 500 yards away from where I set up. And I didn't want to like get close enough to them where if my wind would mess them up or their wind would mess me up. So I completely went to the opposite side of the property. It's just a 100-acre piece. It's nothing like too big that it's that hard. But yeah, I know we kind of know where they bed for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
They obviously feed on the food plot. Then there's another like adjoining property that has a big field out in front, but it's just green grass. So they filled there as well. But yeah, they went down to the food plot because it was an evening sit. We went up to I went up to the field, green field, walked in the edge and got on the ridge edge that was like right above where they bed. So I was taking a very big risk, but I knew it was early in the season. So I'm like, I'm just going to push right now. I know the buck's here somewhere, or at least close by. So I'm going to go in and get on it as close as I can. And it turned out to be the right move because at first when I went in, I was going to go to the complete other side of the field away from the bedding just to like stage on the feeding area for the evening. And I was like, I know they're on this one side. I'm just going to try it. I told my dad, I texted him, I'm like, I'm bailing on my first plan. I'm being aggressive right now, and went and got right on the ridge. I didn't want to push that down too far because it drops down to a little bench, and that's where they bed. So I was up on this ridge right at the top, bunch of oak trees, probably about 10 feet off the ground in the saddle, right? Because it was still early, a lot of green. So I got tucked in right where the nice branches were and everything. And, I mean, it was lights out, man. Like, it was slow, obviously, because I was a little late getting in. Because I changed my mind at first too. And then 6:15, like I said, multiple bucks came running. They were chasing does. And honestly, I'm not going to say like I knew exactly where they were going to be, but I had a good feeling they were going to be there. And then them just chasing the does, like those does came right up beside me.
Yeah.
Because I even texted my dad. I was like, hey, they're going nuts on this bench below me where they bed. Like, I don't know if they're going to come up until like last light, or it might even be dark.
Mm-hmm.
And it just happened that they were chasing them around so much that the does just said, screw it, we're bailing, and completely left the bedding area and came up the hill to like the stage to go out into the field to feed.
Mm-hmm.
And he just came right behind them. So it was pretty exciting.
It came together just like you planned, right? That's how you planned it out. You know, you got the tree. You already knew the tree you're going to get into, and you planned it out perfectly.
I didn't know the tree. I picked it when I was walking in. That's the nice thing about the saddle.
Yeah, yes,
is I could just pick a tree, and it was only like maybe like a 10, 12-inch diameter tree. It was pretty small.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, there's a bunch of oak trees here. They walk this ridge to go out to the field
Mm-hmm.
in the evening to feed. I'm like, it's just hopefully something comes by, and it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, picking a tree in the daylight is great, but picking one out in either the early morning when it's dark outside, or
that's tough.
It's tough because you're looking up in the tree and you're like, I think this one's still alive.
It's tough when you get up to the top too, and you're like, I don't have a single shooting lane, or I can't even shoot 5 yards. And you're like, God damn.
Or you have too many shooting lanes. It's like, I'm in the wide open.
Yeah, or that.
Yeah, I wonder how you know that one. That happened.
Live and learn, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it was fun. I'd say the biggest thing is if you know a deer's around, like I said, that picture was there 2 days beforehand, and then last year the same thing happened. It's okay to be aggressive unless you're like holding out for a certain like specific deer,
right?
Which I don't do. I'm shooting any good buck really, 8-point or bigger, and it's okay to be aggressive.
Yeah, be aggressive. Be
exactly.
aggressive. So I want to talk about that bedding because you said they bed on that bench right there. Like, is there? Did you scout that to know they bed down there? Or like, is it thick? Like, what kind of vegetation's down there?
It's very thick, like young saplings, a lot of greenbrier, and it's like the windward side. So it'd be the east facing slope, and the wind majority blows out of the west here in our area.
Okay. So
they're always bedding on that side where they could have the wind blowing over the back, thermals coming up from the bottom. So that's I'd say about 80 to 90% of the time they're in there during the day.
Yeah.
Just because, like I said, the windward side, wind's blowing over their back. They have the advantage, which I thought when they were running down on that bench, I'm like, as soon as these thermals start to drop, I'm screwed. Like, I'm going to blow the whole place out.
Right.
So it was a risk. It's just they happened to come up at the right time.
Mm-hmm. So have you found, so that you said primarily it blows out of the west. Have you, like those rare occasions where it blows out of the east, have you figured that out, like where they bed at for that situation? Because I know people talk about like deer really don't plan for that wind because it's very rare.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where they would say. I'd say both sides because it's kind of like a big spur that comes down. If you're looking like from a way broad view of the topographic map, it's a big spur that comes down. There's 2 roads going up on both sides, and there's steep hills on the edges. And both sides of the mountain or spur are pretty thick, young saplings, greenbriers, etc.
Okay.
And then on top, there's big oak flats. So like during the day, they're in the bedding areas on either side, depending on the wind. Blah blah blah, or they cross the road completely. Which like sometimes you could be sitting there and hear them crossing the road to hear their hoofs hit the cement. But yeah, I mean, we have the property is really nice. We take care of the food plot, so there is feed there. The oak trees are there, so there's a lot of food for them to come out at nighttime. So I think we have better luck in the evenings there.
Yeah. Okay.
The hard part about it is getting in. Like if you push too far, you can bust them.
Yeah.
And then if you go in the morning, it's tough because they're up and about feeding. You blow it. Like the only time I had luck in the morning there was last year. I killed my buck, but that wasn't until like 11.
Okay. All right.
In the morning.
Yeah. I imagine I just put my first food plot in this past weekend. just so everyone knows, we're recording this on the 18th of March. So it's going to release. I don't know what it's going to. I don't know what day yet. It's too far out. I can't think that far ahead.
Yeah.
But I mean, Ethan has his food plot too. I imagine like with what you're saying, Sebastian, like you have that food plot up there on the point. You have that other field back there as well on the other neighboring property. You have the oaks on top. It's like sometimes too much food isn't a good thing, I imagine, because like you said in the mornings, like they're probably feeding before they go back to bed. So it's like they have so many options to feed at before you go. So it's like, how do you even get in there without blowing them out?
Yeah, it's very tough. That's what I don't really hunt it in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
When I killed my buck last year, I think it was actually Halloween, so it was like pretty much almost the rut starting, and that like the buck that I killed he was just running around with his nose on the ground. So it was just like that time of year.
Yeah.
That time of year, I would hunt it in the morning, obviously, just because you want to be in the woods. But yeah, like too much food could be an issue. Obviously, if the oak trees are good and the acorns are dropping pretty heavy.
Yeah.
At that point, you want to try to find a feed tree. But I mean, that's always tough. If there's that many oak trees, which this property is loaded with white and red, it's a pretty good spot. Like, hopefully we could keep it for a while. But yeah, I mean, it could be tough.
Yeah, I mean, I know. This year people talked about how the Game Commission talked about how the feed trees and the food was not that great. And I mean, when I was in the woods, like I was stepping on acorns nonstop. I was like it looked pretty good. The mass crop looked to me pretty good, and everyone else that I've talked to seemed to have good mass crop as well. So I don't know how they judge that.
I'm surprised to hear that, actually, because a lot of the podcasts I listen to, at least from like Pennsylvania area, talk about how like it was a pretty mass crop year as far as oak trees and acorns go.
Yeah, everybody I talked to this year, same thing. I mean, acorns everywhere, even up Potter County. Everybody has a camp, and his neighbor was a forester up there. He said how great the feed was up there this year. So yeah. It's surprising to hear.
I must be in the wrong area because like I seriously like, or they're all dead. I mean,
the acorns or what?
The trees,
deer?
The trees.
Oh, okay.
Oh, maybe the deer. I don't know, but like no, because I found some red oaks. And, they were dropping a couple. Like, it wasn't anything like, oh, man, look at all these. There's food everywhere. But it's like, I'd find some of these red oak trees. And, I mean, the one area I had a cell camera there. I actually just took it down this past weekend when we went up. And that whole tree is dead. I mean, it's an old red oak, which is a shame. Because it's like, man, this would be great. I mean, this thing, like, it would take 3 of us to put our arms around the trunk. Like, that's how big this thing is. And it hasn't produced in a couple of years, I don't think. But yeah, I'm hoping this year's a little different because a lot of the red oaks that I did find just close to the property, they weren't producing like anything. So hopefully this year's, maybe mine's a little opposite from the entire rest of the state. I don't know.
the little area that Ethan was hunting was the bad area that the Game Commission also
you had some luck
looked
up there,
at.
didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I had a little bit. Just a little bit.
I was going to say, was that rifle season or archery season?
That was archery. Right, November 6th. Had him, He was chasing a doe, and that was the first, like, real rut scenario that I've been in the middle of.
Yeah.
So
that's always exciting.
Oh, that was fantastic. So I was like, I need to expand on just that area alone. So I was up last weekend. With my dad and a family friend, and checked the cameras that I had at a completely different spot, and it looks very promising from November to now. So I'm curious to see what October looks like up there. I'm just going to leave the camera soak.
Or during our ruck camp again.
Or during the ruck camp again. But yeah, there's a couple more spots that I want to scout, checking things out, because the sign up there it's still there. Like the scrapes are still cut open, and this is the first time I've ever had this happen. 9 times out of 10, well, one, I'm not usually at the cabin in March either. I don't show up to the cabin until opening day at Trout. That's usually the first time that we're up at the cabin. So we were up last weekend. I'm actually going up next weekend too, just to do a bunch more work, and it was nice to see all that sign that was still there, and to know that there's still some deer alive, up north. They didn't, the winter wasn't a bad winter, but it was a lot of ice.
It had its bad moments,
Yeah.
I would
It
say.
had bad moments. There was so much ice from we have some friends up there that live up there year round, and they said the ice was the worst thing because we go up to the top, the amount of trees that were knocked over, just it looked like trash up in some of these spots because of how heavy the ice was. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't know if you guys, because I know you guys go up north too in that area. I don't know if you guys had that over where you guys are or not.
I mean, we did have some ice. Probably not as heavy as up north, but I mean, we got it. Does get rough for deer, even us just trying to walk around in the woods.
Yeah, because I still have another trail camera that's kind of down in the valley a little bit off the mountain, and I was like, no, I'll wait till it's a warm up before I decide to walk down the side of the mountain. Because I drove up, and the one guy was like, dude, you're an idiot. Why are you driving up there right now? I was like, it's fine. I have a Subaru. It's all-wheel drive. I got all-wheel drive. I have no problems. And there was, some snow, some ice, but it wasn't really that bad. It's just, I made it up. It was more muddy.
What's funny? I thought the same thing, too, when I went to, go out the last day of Flintlock. I was like, I have four-wheel drive. I can easily make it up this hill. It's just snow. I can make it up. I didn't make it up. I ended up going up, and then my tires stopped going, and my brakes wouldn't catch either, and I drifted back, and I was like, oh shit. So I started turning, and I did a complete 180 and went back, turned completely around, didn't hit a single tree, and turned right back around and just went right down. And I was like, man, talk about the good Lord was looking at me for that.
Best case scenario.
Yeah.
Because there was a ditch. There was, after driving on it now, recently when the snow melted, there was where I went, there was a ditch, a drainage type thing. And I was like, if I would have went in that, I never would have made it out. And I had no service there either. Would have had to get Ethan with a Subaru to pull me out.
I would have.
So it would have been a rough one.
I would have put it in off-road mode and ready to go. I would have been pulling the truck out.
Chain and come along. So Josh, what about your buck you got? Walk us through that hunt. What was that like? Was there something that stood out to you that's why you hunted that area?
Yeah, actually, I have a trail cam in that area, and I tried hunting it in archery, but there just wasn't that many trees that I could get up in. I did hunt on the ground there, and I think it was the second week of archery. I had some does and a small buck come in, but he looked right at me, spooked him. So I just didn't really hunt there because I didn't have a good spot to hang, like I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that's why I went there during rifle season, because I'd get up in a tree and see everything. So I knew they were in there. I just needed to find the right opportunity to get in there. Rifle was it for me.
Okay. All right. How far of a shot was it for him?
Oh, 20 yards. 20? I was actually down getting all my ropes tied up, ready to go home, and I heard some deer crashing down through the woods, probably spooked by another hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And I had actually unloaded my gun because I just got out of the tree. I heard them running. I figured I'll put a shell in it. I don't know if I'm going to get a shot. And down he comes, and 20 yards away, pulled up, shot, and down right there.
Isn't that funny? How archery, we try so hard to get close to these deer, and we see them far away, and then rifle, we'll be like, okay, if I see them far away, I can take the shot now, and they end up being 10, 20, 30 yards, and it's well, come on, I want that far shot.
Season? Yeah.
Freezing my butt off up in a tree all morning, and that's how it happens.
Yeah, cool. Well, was there a video for that one? Because I must have missed that one.
Yeah, I had a video for that.
Was one of the ones.
Yep, I feel bad now.
See, now I watched that one.
Don't worry.
I've been watching the bike ones. Okay.
Oh, okay. No, I watched the most recent three whitetail ones, and then I watched a couple of the recent fishing videos that you guys put out. So
great segue.
Thank you.
Take it away.
Fishing. Tell me about it. No, you guys it's so interesting to watch the fishing video because it's fishing, right? Everyone does the same thing, but yet you guys, because I know I watched the one that you guys just released, which was filmed last year, in the spring, and then I watched the one where you guys were you out? Was it January or February of this year? The second recent one.
We had 2 out. Sebastian, you had the last 2 out, which was what this couple weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, put out 2 within the last month, and then Smitty put out a brook trout video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
which I need to get into. I haven't went out for brook trout yet this year, and I'm itching pretty bad to go. I actually might go this week before any seasons start here. But.
Yeah, because once opening day comes, it's going to be hectic for sure, especially up north. Because I know that's where me and my dad are going, and where we go. It's all stocked. We're obviously where we're going, and it's just there's people everywhere. So if you can get it in now where you're allowed, go right ahead.
Yeah, that's I think a confusing thing for at least a lot of people in the state is like some people think you can't fish at all from like February 18th or whatever the day is that they supposedly close stock streams to the first day of trout, which is not really the case.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of have to read into the regulations or the summary book a little bit more. A lot of these special regulations areas are open year round, like the all tackle, catch and release, fly fish only, delayed harvest. All those places are open year round for fishing.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people ask us, like, hey, how are you guys fishing right now? I'm like, well, there's a lot of places that are open year round. I don't want to tell you the exact stream that I'm fishing because some of them are pretty close to us here.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go into the Pennsylvania summary book or Fish and Boat Commission book, you can find it. It's not hard. And then nice thing about PA too is that PA Trout interactive map, which is actually very informative as far as what streams have what fish, what's able to be able to fish at certain times of the year, what's open, all the regulations on that stream, where like the lower limit is for the regulations, where the upper limit is, and then it'll give you a point on Google Maps where you need to go. Like, it's actually very informative. So every time somebody asks us about a stream or something, I just point them to that map.
So where's that map at? Because I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, the Fish and Boat app.
Yeah, if you just go, you could go on obviously like the pa.gov.
Mm-hmm.
It's on that website. You just Google PA Trout interactive map.
Okay. All right. Good.
I actually use it probably twice a week. And I haven't even been out yet fishing this year, but I'm always looking on it for somewhere new to fish. It's great. Probably the best tool it's free, by the way.
Okay.
The best tool that I use for fishing. It's awesome.
So I'm very interested in this. So like when you look at that map, right? Like what makes a stream interesting to you that you would want to go and fish that stream?
Basically, just somewhere new.
Okay.
And depends what I want to fish too. If it's Class A or natural reproducing stream, just depends what I want to do that day. But mainly just finding new spots. That's what catches my interest.
What is a Class A?
Class A is basically natural reproducing fish. So brook trout. Sometimes there'll be brown trout in those areas as well. I guess, Sebastian, the Little Juniata, is that a Class A?
I believe some parts of it are. So pretty much from my understanding, as far as Class A goes, it's like a designation set by the Fish and Boat Commission. They go through and do the electroshock surveys. And if there's a certain number of fish per square of stream, like obviously like brook trout or wild brown trout, those usually are the Class A streams. If there's a certain number of brook trout or brown trout in that stream, they could designate it Class A, but it also has to have like all the biological factors that a fish needs to naturally reproduce in the wild. So like has to be oxygenated water. It can't have like high levels of AMD or iron or all the stuff you get from mine drainage, which is pretty common in Pennsylvania, obviously, from past mining issues.
Mm-hmm. And a majority of those, they're, from my understanding, they're usually like fly fishing only or artificial lure only areas for the most part.
Artificial lure, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, some of them are definitely artificial lure, but I mean, a lot of them. There's so many streams in Pennsylvania that they don't even have them all listed on these maps.
Oh yeah.
Like if you just find a blue line and you haven't been there before, I mean, I'd say it's worth going to check out, because we've been in that situation where it's like, okay, it's not Class A, it's not a wilderness stream, it's not designated by the state for anything, but we've caught brook trout in it or something like that, or brown trout. And like those places you could fish with a regular spin rod with live bait if you wanted to.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a few, like, even so you know where this, like, behind the cabin. So when you drive up to the top, that there's that stream.
Yeah,
that goes right up through the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
You could see it now. You know how far of a drop that is. Right, so you got to start at the bottom of the mountain. Mm-hmm. But I can look down there, and it's like there looks like there's some holes.
Okay.
Down there where you could fish, and that's one thing that I knew, because it's not stocked, it's not designated, it's not marked. I don't even think it has a name on the map, to be honest. So I'm like, I want to go check it out, see if there's any fish in there. It just one of those things.
There's a lot of streams that are just unnamed tributary is what they call them. Yep. Pretty much blue lines.
And are those the ones that you guys look for? Those unnamed ones? Because like me personally, like I'm a big adventurer. Like that's what I learned over the years. Like I'm a big adventurer, so I want to find those places that aren't necessarily named or like show up on a map all the time. Like, is that something that really interests you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely popular for people that want to, like, I don't want to say get lost, but get away from other people fishing. Like, obviously, if you're fishing a stock stream, you're probably going to see a few people. Mm-hmm. If it's like during the season or the first 2 weeks of the season, you're going to see a lot of people. Mm-hmm. But if you want to get away from people, like even in Potter County, when I went up last year, I think I went up mid-April, fished Kettle Creek one day, shoulder to shoulder with some people. Some of the more popular spots, there's a lot of people. And then the other day I went brook trout fishing. I didn't see one single person. So like you could really, like, that's why I like it. Plus, like, you get into some pretty dramatic looking scenic environment as far as like you're in the mountains, you're away from the roads. Mm-hmm. And then you go some places, you're like, there's no fishing here. No way.
Yeah.
Like it's that skinny.
Yeah.
But like they're there. Promise.
I see people like those really small streams that you just talked about, Sebastyan, where it's like you can see literally, like you look at, like, there's, like you said, there's no fish in here. But then I see people pull fish out and I'm like, that's a big fish for that little thing. Like, how did I not see that in there? Like, has that ever happened to you guys with, like, you know, maybe I won't throw this in there, but you end up throwing it in and you catch something out of it?
All the time. I mean, you walk up to a little hole and it's like, I don't think I'm going to throw anything in there. There can't be anything in there.
Yeah.
And you're standing there like, might as well. And, I mean, it can be a fish maybe 3-4 inches, but there's still something in there. To me, that's really cool.
Yeah. That reminds me of when we went up to Elk County. I don't know if were you there for that when we were with James?
Yeah.
We went to that. We went fishing in this, like, it was bigger one. It was a bigger one, but like Patrick was catching those small. No, you were caught that really small. What was that?
Tiny. I think it was a creek chub. To be honest. It definitely wasn't a trout. It was a creek chub. Like, I've caught my fair share of those over the years.
Yeah, that was a dink. If I ever saw one,
it was. I remember that. Low key, I kind of want to go back to that area because that whole stretch of stream right there, and I think
that wasn't stocked, was it?
They might have stocked sections of it, just not the whole thing. We probably were at the only spot where they didn't.
Of course.
But I think they did stock certain areas of that stream there.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just always because you never know what you're going to catch in some of these spots. It's like, oh, what is this? And then you pull it out. It's like something you've never expected to see in a certain body of water.
There was
that's another reason I like fishing these blue line streams too. Is like the fish just look so much better. Like,
healthy.
If you just watch my last video, like obviously fishing on a pretty popular stock stream up in Potter County, like they don't look good because they're sitting in a tank for their first however long of life it is till they get stocked in the stream. And then they slowly start to get to look better if they don't get kept or ate by something else.
Yeah.
So these like native brook trout and wild browns they look good. They have different spots. They all look a little bit different, but they all kind of look at the same if you're looking at them from far away. But it's like the colors pop. They're pretty fish.
Oh yeah, caught a wild brown last year. the most beautiful fish that I have ever caught. And I was like, this is. I've caught plenty of stocked rainbow in my life, right? And some of them you look at, it's like, because I like, if it's stocked and it's a rainbow, I keep it, I eat it. I've questioned it. Why should I actually eat this? Like, is this like some like I don't say they don't look sickly, but it's like comparing the two. It's like, how healthy are you? Because you don't have the color, and I feel like you should be a little more vibrant in color. But
also their jaws, like, isn't the front of the jaws, like, isn't there a very distinct difference between like a native and like a stock trout? Isn't like the one more round or something like that?
There can be.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes their jaws will get messed up, just from being in tank their whole life. But I mean, you can find some rainbows or browns that they do look good for being a stock fish. So it just depends where they're at.
Okay.
Basically.
This is
usually like your local sporting clubs or your sportsman's clubs. They're going to have nicer fish than what the state does. I think so, at least from the places like that I've fished where it's a state stock truck or a sportsman club stocking it. Like, they just seem to be better. They put more money into it because they're not obviously mass producing trout to stock the whole state. They're just trying to make some good looking trout for one area.
And that's why I just fist pumped there, is because I joined a sportsman's club who has a pond that they stock, and I'm going to take my daughter there to try and fish for whatever. Like, if whatever she catches would be great. But they do stock it. They stock the trout in there and stuff like that. There's bass in there, and they said there's some catfish. They've heard reports of catfish being in there, but who knows? But mostly crappie, sunfish, trout, bass, that kind of stuff. So
sounds
pretty
like
excited
a good
about
time.
that. Yeah.
Should be
Rip
happy.
some lips.
Ripping some lips and happy. Do you guys have a preference when you go fishing for trout, like that this late winter, early spring? I don't know if you guys do a lot of trout fishing over the summer or early fall or not, but like, do you have a preference for like this is the best time to go?
For me, it's usually just not during deer season. I want to start going in the fall some more. I should have last year just because I had the opportunities to, but just things get away from me, But I mean, obviously we kind of wait for winter to kind of mow it out a little bit. Like, we started posting those videos when it started to get like into the 40s and 50s and stuff like that. Obviously spring's a great time to go because all the hatches are starting to come. Aquatic insects are starting to really grow and then hatch and all that stuff, if you really dig deep or go down the rabbit hole of all that stuff. But we do a little bit in the summer too. Obviously, you got to watch water temperatures if you're not going to keep the trout, but because it could really hurt them pretty bad if you're fishing in a pretty warm area. But the nice thing about Pennsylvania is there's a lot of limestone streams and pretty much stay cool almost year round. So that's mostly like central PA area with the big name streams that everybody knows, the Penns Creek, Springs Creek, places like that.
Okay.
Yeah, because we fished, like last year I went to my first fishing camp, which I'm going to again this year, up in Tioga County. I would just say Pine Creek. It's not a secret, it's it's like a destination.
Yeah, it's a destination spot.
Yeah.
We're gonna be hopefully on Pine Creek the first day.
Yeah, and it's first weekend of June.
Yeah.
We're up there, and it was like, it's not cold because it was like warm. Obviously, it's June, so it's warm. But the water's cold. The fish are very active. All the trout are very active. We're catching fish left and right. I was like, usually it's not like this. During the summer, the trout activity tends to slow down a bit. At least, then again, I'm also thinking of down home here, where if it's 80, 90 degrees out in June, you're not really catching much unless you're going super early in the morning or at night.
Evening.
Yeah, that's really it. At this point, it's like you might as well just go bass fishing or pan fishing at that point.
That's about when we transition over to smallmouth, June, July. But yeah, I mean, I'll go fishing whenever I can get out. I mean, it doesn't matter. It can be the worst day in the world, and if I can get out to go fishing, I'll go.
Mm-hmm. What's the so that you said about that June, July is when you switch to bass, smallmouth, largemouth? I think that's a large. Yeah, that's not a fish. That's another fish.
You're learning today.
Yeah, I'm learning something today. But like the time frame for trout, like what is that ideal time frame for someone to go out? Like let's say for me, for example, like that ideal time frame to go out to have possibly the most success of getting a trout, either brook, rainbow, brown, or palomino.
Palomino, golden. They argue about that all the time.
Yeah. In your guys' opinion,
honestly, like Sebastyan said, the springtime. I mean, that's best time to go out. I mean, you do want an overcast day.
Okay.
To go out, but really get out when you can.
Okay.
Hopefully you'll catch a fish. So, I mean, I get skunked some days, but still getting out there.
And that's why I give up fishing, because I get skunked.
Yeah.
It happens.
The last 2 times I've went out, I've got skunked. Just gotta keep going.
Just think of it like whitetail hunting. You don't shoot something every time, right? So you're not going to catch a fish every time.
Well,
try to have that mindset. That might help you a little bit.
I can see where you're going with that, Ethan.
I'm trying to help you here.
But there's things I learned. Like, I'm not just staring at water and waiting.
Yeah.
For a fish. What?
Learn where to cast.
You got to be one with the water. Is that what you're saying?
Be one with the water.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Be one with nature.
Just like when I'm one with the woods, when I'm in the woods, using my woodsmanship.
Yes.
I got to use my watership.
Yeah. See. There you go.
Yeah. Whatever the word might be.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that goes into it. Like, I mean, you could go on the water and be in a packed area, and you'll see one person catching a fish every cast, and then see another person or everybody else not catching shit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whatever the word might be for woodsmanship to go to fishing, it's a real thing, I would say, because you need to find like where they're at in the stream, where they're eating on the stream. Like, there's big rabbit holes you could go down in the fishing world just as much, if not more, than I would say whitetail hunting.
Yeah. So I was thinking of words while you were saying that, of like what I could think of like what would be the equivalent to woodsmanship on the water. Obviously, when you're in the ocean, you're a seaman.
Uh-huh.
When you're
yeah. Oh,
okay.
You just turned into an 8-year-old there for a second.
I did. When you're on the pond, you're now a pondsman. When you're on the creek, you're a creeksman. You just add "min" to the end of anything.
Yeah. So
Rivsman.
Just a good fisherman.
There we go. We knew we would come up with it somewhere.
Yeah. We're going to coin a lot of these terms and just trademark
Fishermanship.
Fishermanship.
Yep. No, but I don't have that at all. Don't have the fishermanship inside me. Trying to, like, I remember, like, my earliest memory, and I think this is what deterred me from going fishing, was like I went out opening day with my dad and my dad's buddy, and I remember my dad was walking up a hill. We caught some trout that day, but my dad or someone let a briar fly back and hit me in the eye right here. So it kind of deterred me from fishing from that point on.
Not even related to the water. Just
nope. It was there. It was there. But what kind of bait do you guys use? Like, do you use? I guess for certain situations, it's different for every area you fish. Like, it just depends on what the fish are biting that day. So on those overcast day, what would you recommend for someone to use on an overcast day, like that perfect day?
Yeah, I mean, some people get really deep into this.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I kind of take a simple approach. I only tie, because I tie my own flies, but I only tie a handful of different flies. Waltz worms, that's a big one that I use. Stone flies, that's another one. I mean, you can really use 5 flies, and that's all you need all year. It just depends what kind of fishing you want to do. If you want to nymph, streamer, dry fly fish, but myself, I mostly nymph. Mm-hmm. So like I said, I'm only using 5-6 different flies.
I guess we should have actually let off with that of how you guys fish to begin with, because I'm a spinner guy. Like I'm a whatever that flicky thing is.
Oh, the button.
No, not
your daughter's rod.
No.
A spinning rod.
Yeah, okay, spinning rod. That's my preferred method.
That's what I use.
I have not tried fly fishing yet. It's something that intrigues me, but yet I have never personally tried it yet because it seems like it would be a lot of work, like a lot of, I don't know, it just seems like a lot of work for catching a fish. And I never even dove into it because no one's taught me it. So that's why I never even tried it. So like, is that your preferred method is fly fishing?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I do, except for when I do smallmouth fish, I do use a spinning rod as well.
Okay.
So I don't discriminate.
Okay. Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. All right. Bait caster. Everyone has an opinion on them. As soon as I mention it, people are just either like all for it or start talking shit. So I don't know. Like what's like, oh man.
I did hate it at once, but I have one just most because I hated it because it got the nest the first time I tried it. And I was like, this thing sucks.
Yeah,
Why'd I spend $100?
The only time I ever tried one with that, I got the nest, and I'm like, I'm good.
No.
I'm good.
But it makes you look cool, Sebastian. Like it makes you can get underneath those trees and underneath rocks and logs that are underneath the water, and you can just like zip it in there, and you look really cool doing it. I feel like that's the main draw behind it.
Yeah. I'll stick with fly fishing for now. That's pretty much, I don't even think I touched a spinning rod to like the last 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Honestly. Even when we went down to the Juniata River last year, I took the fly rod out, and that was pretty fun, catching some smallmouth on a fly rod too. I did lie. The only time I take my spinning rod is if I take my son or go with family.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we're at a lake or whatever. But I'll take a fly rod to a lake too if I'm by myself. But it's tough to do when there's other people around.
I was just about to say it. Like I never really saw many people fly fish on a lake or a pond in general. Like it's to me, in my eyes, it'd mostly be good for like streams and rivers and that kind of stuff. Is that the ideal place for fly fishing?
And you could do it everywhere. They make rods that could cast in pretty much any situation.
Okay.
As far as like what I did last year on a couple different lakes with a fly rod, I was in just a kayak, so it's pretty tough to get like the momentum to get some casts going when you're sitting down. Now, if you're on like a drift boat or just a regular boat that has a platform, I mean, you could almost cast just as far as a spinning rod.
Okay.
If you practice it.
Would you
practice it?
Would you ever do a paddleboard fly fishing?
No, because I would probably fall in.
I would do it on the lake.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like it'd be very complicated because, like you said, just with the kayak, like you got to put some emphasis on it. Like on a paddleboard, you got to have like really good balance to stay up on that. Like your core's got to be pretty in tune, and then you also are trying to fly fish at the same time. And I'm pretending like I know how to fly fish right now.
I love the motion. You're just like, yeah, this is totally how you do it.
I felt like that was the right thing. Yeah. But like starting out with fly fishing, what was the biggest hurdle for you guys? Like, did someone teach you or just be like, yeah, maybe I'll just try this out?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I bought my first fly rod in somewhere around 2017, and I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew I maybe wanted to try it, and now I tried it here and there, and I put it down, didn't touch it for a couple years, and then I think I picked it back up in either 2019 or 2020. I actually started getting into it a lot more, and just stuck with it. I mean, I was horrible when I first started. Never caught a fish, and just stuck with it. I watched a lot of videos how to do it, and just ended up, getting slowly better, and stuck with it the whole time.
And then you eventually started tying your own flies too.
Yeah, bought I think it was a $20 vise off of Amazon. Didn't know if I was gonna like it or not, and I do it twice a week. I don't turn out a lot of flies, but it's something to do in the wintertime when it's cold out.
Yeah.
So I definitely grew to enjoy tying flies.
That was a good pun there. Time flies.
That's right.
That's good pun. But the vise you bought, like, that's not like a garage vise, right? It's a particular vise for a fly tying flies, right?
Okay. Yeah. It has a jaws that you can hold the hook in it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I saw Andrew did that a few times.
he had a
like
few.
I saw. He ties zone.
Those are like I like watching those kind of videos.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, like you do the thinking of like I'm going to add this material, and this material, and it's going to look like this at the end. And like when you start watching the video, it's like, how is this going to work? And then as it goes through, it's like, oh wow, this is actually really neat. Like just to be able to come up with something that imitates a bug or I was going to say aquatic insect, it's a freaking bug, or even like a little tiny fish, that you fool the trout or whatever you're fishing for that actually wants to go and get it and eat it.
Yeah, I mean, just a lot of YouTube. YouTube for everything.
Yeah. Is fly fishing, because I'm actually very surprised that I haven't gotten into fly fishing as much as I like to fish in general. And I've seen, like, some of the areas that I fish, I also have my spinning rod, and I'm as basic as you get when it comes to fishing. It's worms or corn.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had success over all these years catching fish, so I was like, why would I deviate from that? But then there's days where I go and there's other people and they're fly fishing like around me, and I'm seeing them pulling trout. And I was like, maybe I should get into it. Is it expensive to get into? Because for some reason I always feel, because I could go to Bass Pro and I can get a spinning rod for $30.
Walmart, $9.
And it works just fine. But like I feel like fly fishing's more expensive if you want even just like a basic thing. Or is that not the case?
I mean, it can be as expensive as you want. I do think it's a little more expensive than spin fishing, but I mean, you can probably get a basic fly rod and reel set up for $120.
Okay.
Yeah, Reddington has a lot of good like starter rods. You could get you the whole combo with the fly rod and a reel for somewhere under $200, I believe.
There you go.
Because that'd be probably what I'm surprised. Seriously, I'm surprised I haven't. Like, I think I'm gonna have to jump into this because there's time. Like even last year, we're fishing and I mean we're not really catching. Like I don't know if I had one or I'm pulling red eyes and creek chub out. So I was like, all right, I'm catching fish. I don't really care if I'm catching fish. I don't care the species. I'm happy. But it was at that time where it looked like a lot of the mayflies were landing on the water, so you could see the trout coming up and just destroying the mayflies, and I didn't have anything in my tackle box that remotely resembled a mayfly. Lo and behold, some guy went over there with a fly rod and starts freaking pulling trout out left and right because he had something that looks at. I was like, son of a bitch. I was like, if I had something, I could have been catching these fish. So this might be something I dive into at some point. Just something else that my wife will yell at me because I bought it,
That's okay. We don't. I'd say just talking for the group here, we don't really get into too much dry fly fishing. I mean, we have some in our box, and maybe throw it on here and there, but I'd say for the three of us that do fish in the group, it's mostly nymph fishing, which is like you're fishing subsurface. You're trying to match the insects that are like tumbling on the creek bed on the bottom, or trying to work their way up to the surface to hatch and fly away. But I mean, I have some dry flies. I do a dry dropper here and there. Like if the water looks like it should be a dry dropper situation, but it really just depends on how deep you want to go. But nymphing is pretty much what we do, I would say. And that's just like we're picking up rocks in the water, trying to see what type of insects are on the bottoms of the rocks. Cause I mean, sometimes you can pick up a rock and see fucking 50, 100 fish or insects, I mean. But it just depends. And I'd say like in your situation where like you mentioned the mayflies hitting the top of the water and stuff, I've been in that situation too where I'm like, man, I wish I just had some dry flies, or something to match the hatch exactly. But there's also different stages of that insect where you could fish on the subsurface too.
Kind of I feel like as long as you make it kind of look like what's on top of the surface, as close as you can get it, or whatever fly you're using, as long as you can kind of mimic what's going on, I feel like that would be a good situation to be in. Mm-hmm. I may just be talking on my ass right now, but I don't know.
No, I mean that's spot on.
No, you're good.
As long as it looks, pretty similar. The you'll catch them.
Okay. I feel like fly fishing is very similar to archery. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it that you have to kind of do to be successful and have a good opportunity and like practice, and like there's probably I feel like there's a lot of practice that goes into fly fishing. I mean, tying your own flies, there's a lot of practice in that, right? But then doing the fly fishing itself is its own beast you got to tackle.
Yeah, that's another thing with there's definitely controversy where you could get into some like I'll call it, like we call it pinky up fly fishermen. They're just a little fancy, you know.
Makes sense. That's what I picture fly fishermen being fancy.
They'll consider nymphing not even fly fishing, even though you're using a fly that is tied onto a hook, because it's not like a dry fly or a streamer or whatnot. Because I mean, from my experience, Josh has a different experience maybe, but I think when you're nymphing, you're just catching more fish usually, unless there is like a major hatch going on and you're there at like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. when it's like, that's when usually the major hatches are starting to hit.
Okay.
So like during the day, all that stuff. I mean, if you're just starting to fly fish, I would recommend looking into nymphing, tightline nymphing. There's like 100 different names for it, but pretty much you're fishing subsurface with flies.
Okay. Now what about, because it looks to me when someone would catch one, like how does that work? Because it's like the reel looks so small and the line, it looks so thin that it would just break. So what's that?
It's the same thing as your regular like fluorocarbon line that's on a spinning rod. Like my leaders that I use for a fly rod, it's the same fluorocarbon that you would have on a spinning rod. It's just whatever type of pound test you want for the area you're fishing in. So obviously if you, like when I'm streamer fishing, I'm using like 8 to 10 pound test as my leader. When I'm nymph fishing, I'm using like 4-6 pound test, which is what you normally would have on a spinning rod for trout. Mm-hmm. So it's all the same. I mean, your fly line could be different, obviously, but that's, I mean, I don't even use a fly line unless I'm streamer fishing. I'm just using a monofilament line on my nymph rod.
So I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of terminology I have no idea what's going. I'm just.
I kind of understood. Like I get the basic concept of it. Like,
and I don't want to like keep going back to those stuff and like make myself sound dumb, right? But damn it, I have no idea what's going on.
It's just different types of fishing line. That's pretty much what it is.
Okay.
It's not. It's just there's different names for it.
That like I always see this too. Like at the end of like say the normal line that's on a spinning rod, and then they have that thicker, like colored braided line at the end. Like is that what you're talking about? How like that part is that what you're talking about right there, or like what am I seeing there?
Yeah. So the thicker part that you'll see pretty much on the reel, like especially if somebody's dry fly fishing. They're using probably a regular fly line.
Okay.
Which is like, and I don't want to dive too deep into it, but like there's different sections of a fly line. There's a butt section, mid section, the front section, and some of those parts are weighted to like throw the fly, to be able to move the fly. If it's like, if you're using a small dry fly, I mean, it doesn't weigh pretty much anything, maybe a couple centigrams or whatever, but like you need some different types of fly line to pull that line and get that insect or dry fly out onto the water.
Okay.
Like as far as like nymph fishing goes, you could get away with just like different, you don't have to use a fly line because you're not like getting into super hard casting like you would on a dry fly or streamer fishing. You could almost, they say not to lob it, but I mean, when I started, I was definitely lobbing it. Now I'm kind of trying to get into more of like a tuck cast and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it depends how far you want to go. But it's very similar to what's on a spinning rod, just to say the least.
Okay, I feel like it's something once you start doing it, once you start learning all this terminology, it's going to be like, okay, that makes sense. It's very comparable to this and this. Like, I think that was how long ago did we do a fly fishing episode in general? Like that was.
Been a couple years.
That's a long time ago. Was that the USA guy? Was he a fly fisherman or what? Who am I thinking of there?
Yes.
Was that him?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
don't
been a
know.
couple
Yeah.
years since
It's
we've
been
talked
years,
about
yeah.
it like that. But yeah, no, I mean, and the thing I like, because like I said, we went to the fishing camp last year, and me and my dad were the only ones just using spinning rods. Everyone else had fly rods. But like watching everyone fish, everyone had a different style of how they cast, what they were. I mean, obviously they're trying to figure out. So they're going back and forth trying to figure out which flies to use, what the fish are hungry for that day. But everyone cast different. So like some of them were a little more over top, some were on the sides. One of them it looked sloppy as all could be, but it got to where it needed to be. So I was like, well, it works. I don't, but so that's because you see it on either it's a show or a movie or whatever. They're fly fishing, and it's like if it's almost like they're perfect. You got that nice little arch. It's going out 600 feet, but it's like you don't have to do that. As long as you just get it out there, you're fine.
I'm looking at a book right now. I wanted to get my terminology and stuff.
Yeah.
So squirrel tail obviously is a big one, right? We talked about that when we did the skinning squirrel.
Yeah.
Do you guys use squirrel tail at all for your flies?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't tie my own flies either, so
Okay.
I buy them. I feel like tying flies, I respect everybody that does it, obviously, so I could buy them myself, but it's a time-consuming thing, and
Yeah.
I'd rather just fish. I'll buy them.
So for the nymph fishing, I said that right?
Yes.
Okay. You make me feel bad. when you say that.
I'm genuinely proud right now. Don't worry.
So what kind of like material are you using to tie those flies?
So I'll buy the hooks, beads, dubbing, and just some weight. And then it just depends what kind of fly I want to tie. There's so many different materials. Like right here, I have these are actually for dry flies, but yeah, basically dubbing is your biggest thing. You want to use whatever dubbing you want. I use Fulling Mill. It's a pretty quality product, but yeah, there's so many different materials that you can buy, but mostly just dubbing, tying up waltz worms, stone flies, things like that.
Okay. Yeah, that's
And a lot of people will get it as far as like they'll just use whatever products they could get from actual like animals, as far as like pheasants, squirrels, rabbits,
deer
all that
tails.
stuff. Yeah, whitetail, hair, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like I know some people are very into it where they don't buy any like artificial stuff or stuff that's collected from wherever, maybe a farm or wherever they get it from. I'm not sure exactly. Like some people will just get it off the animals that they hunt throughout the season and then tie their own flies with that as well.
I imagine, like, especially if you're a trapper, it'd be perfect. Like, you'd have all that different fur to use. Because, I mean, to be honest, like, the fur market isn't that great anyway. So, like, really, you can try and sell them, make some money off it, or you can just, like, maybe if you're into fly fishing, just tie your own flies with different color hair that you get. Like, a bobcat would be a cool one.
Yeah, I actually had a buddy. He had a bunch of pheasants, and he actually got me a couple pheasant tails.
Oh, really?
It's cool. Yeah, because I mean, I buy them offline, but
yeah.
I think it's a lot cooler that my buddy had a bunch of pheasants, gave me a couple pheasant tails, and I use that.
That would be cool. Like how big of a tail do you use for that? Like, I imagine you cut it down quite a bit, right?
It's just a regular feather about this long, and then you'll actually pluck the feathers off here.
Okay.
And maybe 10 to 12 feathers at a time, and I'll put that on as a tail.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, because I remember Andrew, he said if I ever shot a pheasant, he's like, can I have the tail?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, sure. Of course, I never shot a pheasant, so I couldn't help him out there. But
what about your grouse? Could you use grouse tail, I guess?
Probably could. I mean, it's a feather.
I mean, I'd use turkey feather for it, too.
Yeah. So maybe, if I get a grouse next year.
If a bird runs into your window.
Bird runs into the window. I've had that happen a few times.
Bluebird tail.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're pretty much using anything you could find to put some color on it to match. I mean, the famous thing is to match the hatch. That's what a lot of people say, obviously, but
that's a big terminology thing. Yep.
A little bit of color, a little bit of flash, maybe if you want to get into it. So you could use pretty much anything. I'm sure you could put a little piece of aluminum can on the hook and probably catch some fish.
Oh yeah. Okay. Total different switching topics, but yet pheasant talk a little bit. Not
I don't
fishing.
have anything in my book for that.
That's okay. I just need to get this out there because it's bugging me. So where we hunted up in my cabin, there's no pheasants. Okay, there's none. They don't. I looked up where do they stock state game lanes? Not remotely close. And I'm looked at Potter County, Clinton County, surrounding counties just to see nothing. Okay. November 9th. I remember it because that's when Dad and I went out to set the cameras. We're going out grouse hunting. I shot my 2 grouse. Dad didn't get any. But as we're walking back, bird flies. Dad pulls up on it. I didn't get a good look at it. I just heard it. And he pulls down. Like he didn't shoot, and he could have. I was like, Dad, why didn't you shoot? He goes, I don't think that was a grouse. I was like, what do you think it was? Because it was on the ground. Took off. I could hear it. Sounded what I thought sounded like a grouse because they're loud and obnoxious, crashing through everything. And he goes, I saw a long tail. I'm convinced it was a pheasant. I'm like, Dad, this is public land, not state game lands. And I was like, there's no pheasant up here. I was like, how could that be? So this whole time I'm thinking Dad's crazy, right? We go back, fast forward 4 months, last week, Jerry and I are up, same area, checking trail cameras. We jumped a couple grouse. We could physically see they were grouse. We get up to the cul-de-sac, okay, that's what I call it. 4 birds jump. I see 2, I'm like, okay, there's 2 that went this way and could tell they were grouse. I'm focused on the one that kind of flew straight up because I guess it couldn't go out. So I'm looking at that one, and I could see it's a grouse. Jerry's looking at the one that was on the far left, and he's like, that wasn't a grouse. And I'm like, I'm thinking he's messing with me, right? I was like, I just watched 3 other birds that were clearly grouse fly off. And he goes, now it was directly away, so I couldn't tell super body, like the outline of everything. He goes, but I saw a black, like it was more of a black head. I'm like, well, grouse don't have black heads. And he goes, he said a black pheasant, which is a thing. Yeah, I didn't know this was a thing, right? So I'm like, no, you're messing with me, right? Like you're crazy. Like you heard the story of Dad, and then I told he was crazy, telling him. When I looked it up, black pheasants are real, right? Which I was like, okay. And I was like, now I'm like, this is like the biggest mystery now. Over top of mountain lions being in Pennsylvania and Sasquatch being real, are there pheasants on public land? Because then I learned, and I didn't know this, in the state of Pennsylvania, I don't know if it's anywhere else, but if you have 100 acres or more of private land, you can buy pheasants and release them on your property. I didn't know that. I just found that out this last weekend. So now I'm thinking, okay, what properties are around this area that have 100+ acres? And I couldn't think of any. Like I have to really look at the map. But I'm like, where we are, I don't think there's close.
There's a pheasant farm up near you in Potter, right? There's a pheasant farm up in Potter.
Yeah, but not that close. I'm thinking. Yeah. So now it's the biggest mystery of. I need to I don't want to overdo it because I want to scout and possibly hunt this area for deer
and pheasants
and now pheasants. But I'm like, I need to know because neither Dad or I had a pheasant stamp last year, so obviously wouldn't be able to shoot it anyway. But now I'm like, I make sure I have to have my pheasant stamp for next year. I want to see if there's one because if there is one, A, was it a stocked one that just somehow made it there, or B, is it a wild one? And do they still exist in Pennsylvania? If that's the case, almost don't want to shoot it because you want it to reproduce because that'd be kind of cool to see pheasants running around there. But I don't know if you guys had knew anything about it was bugging me for the last 4 months. So I'm like, I just need to get this out there. I need to.
I mean, a black
answers.
pheasant would be freaking sick to get. Put
Yeah,
it that way.
if feathers, you can feel free to mail them my way.
Yeah, you know what? You're the first person to say it. So if I shoot it, I will message you, and you can have all the feathers.
You want to be careful of how many. Just be careful what feathers you pluck, because you want to get a full body mount of that. If it's
that's a full body mount.
If it's a black pheasant,
I'll pull a couple out for you. Then you just say how many you need. I'll pull enough out. That way I can still get a good mount.
Yeah,
I'll send the feathers. Yep. Say less. We'll make it happen.
I think I do think there's the population. I mean, the grouse in that area are insanely high.
They have made it quite the comeback.
I can see if grouse are making it in that area. I can see if somehow a pheasant possibly made it in that area.
Yeah.
Somehow, I don't know how, but I mean,
I want to know how it got there, because we're not really close to any private land. I don't. Well, then again, I have to do more research, because I don't know what the home range is of a pheasant. Like, how far do they travel? From where their core areas are not. I have to look that up, because it's like, how could it have even gotten there in the first place? Because this is on top of the mountain. This isn't like down in the valley, and this is way up top.
Yeah, I have no clue. Everything we see around here is probably stocked either private clubs or from the state. There's actually a place pretty close to us that gets birds pretty often from a private club. And you'll see them. I'll see them on my in-laws' property around the area, which is a decent distance, a mile or two or whatever. But I mean, that could be from anything from a predator chasing them a certain distance, or I don't know. I haven't really got into bird hunting as far as grouse or pheasants at all to know much information about them as far as how intelligent they are, what they're going to do, how easy are they able to reproduce and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'm very surprised, because there's a lot of coyotes up in this area. I've found out, got them, whether it's on camera or just finding coyote scat everywhere. So I was like, well, how much? Because from my understanding, granted, my only interactions are with stocked pheasants. They're not that smart.
Dumb.
They're kind of they seem to be a dumb bird. At least the stocked ones. Grouse are pretty smart. They're not dumb. So I don't know. But if the pheasant's hanging out with the grouse, if that is the case, I might have. Oh, a pheasant. Can they breed together?
Maybe it'll teach them up. It'll teach them up.
Yeah, have them survive. Could it be a crossbreeding their species? A pheasant would be a
grouse.
A frouse.
You might have to Google that one.
A grezant. I don't know. I'm thinking of names here. A grezant. That'd be a new species.
A gray present.
A gray present. Yes. That'd
be
perfect.
So a size of a pheasant's home range is typically 1 to 2 square miles, but can be smaller in high quality habitats with abundant food and cover.
1 to 2 square miles. So then no, there's no private property within 1 to 2 square miles of where this was.
Pheasants prefer a mix of grassland, agricultural fields, wetlands, and brushy areas for cover, nesting, and food.
It is thick up there.
Yep, thick.
I don't know. It's going to be a mystery until I can physically see it, actually get a good picture of it, or shoot it
with good eyes.
With good eyes.
Yeah, because you had 2 old guy eyes looking at them.
I did have two old guy eyes looking at them, and they both do need glasses to look at certain things. So I'd like to have the trust in the source material, but at the same time, it can be a little sketchy.
It's like Wikipedia type stuff, I can believe that, but
I need to see it for myself.
I need to see that for myself.
Yeah.
So speaking of birds, so turkey's coming up too when this is going to be releasing. So any turkey plans, any plans, or where any gobblers are that you're like, okay, I'm going to go here and just try and get one?
I haven't seen anything yet.
Okay.
And I mean, I haven't really been scouting yet either, but see what happens. Usually just go out in the woods, see what I can hear, and hope for the best.
Yeah. Same. I usually turn to whitetail scouting, but
yeah,
it's pretty much how it goes for me. Is when I'm on the ground and I'm hunting, I usually can't sit still. That's usually what screws me up the most with turkey hunting.
Yeah.
I get it. Like when I'm in a tree for whitetail, I'm like, all right, I'm not climbing down because I know it takes about 20 minutes to get down or whatever, even more.
Yep.
So with turkey hunting, I'm like, All right, I think he's close. I think I can get over this little knob and see him. And then he's standing there looking at me. But it also turns into whitetail scouting for me as well a lot. Know where some birds are pretty much every year. I mean, Josh has hunted them with me on some properties, and we still can't get them. I feel like it's just some smart birds, or we're just really bad at it. Could be that too, Haven't done it very much. But
2 years ago, we hunted that one bird and dropped down over the hillside, got on the other side, and he was on the other side, and brought back down over that side, and he was back on the other side. So
yeah,
maybe we can come this year.
I had one like that was the one that 4 years ago.
Yeah.
That one I was chasing. Like he went off the roost. Like I was way too close to his roost tree. I was like 5 yards underneath his roost tree. Now way too close, obviously. And he went down, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go try and get him that way. Try and catch up to him and call him in and everything. I called him when I get down there. He'd go quiet. And then I start like, okay, well, I'm just going to go scouting again. And then all of a sudden I go, boom! I'm like, oh, there he is again. So I'd sit down and try and call him again, and he'd go quiet. I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on here. So I get up and start scouting again, and all of a sudden I hear him again. I'm like, dude, come on. Like, I sit down and try and call on nothing. So, like, same way. Don't know what I'm doing with turkeys. Just I'm out there winging it.
Yeah, that's why I don't even
the best.
Yeah, just hoping I get a dumb Jake to come in.
Yeah, something. I did have one gobbler on camera up at this area, and it was within the last week or two.
Only one, really?
Yeah, he was by himself. Yeah, I didn't get. Yeah, there was no hens.
Like recently on camera? Like was he like this month on camera?
Yeah, and he was all puffed out. Got a nice beard.
He was puffed up.
Yeah, I might have a picture of it. I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I was like, all right, there's one. Mm-hmm. There's one around this area. I didn't know there's turkey because when we were walking in on the main trail, I mean, there's scratches right on the main trail that were done like that morning.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, there's turkey here. Like, there's turkey. Some of them were deer scratches. You can tell. You can see the hoof prints. They were just digging for food. But some, it looked like a mess.
Yeah.
So, the turkey just came through and just demolished a 20-foot by 30-foot section of the road and then just walked off.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm like, part of me like wants to go because I have no real desire to go turkey hunting at all. Like, I think I went once or twice, and it was with you, because just only because you're like, hey, we're going out. Yep. So I was like, yeah, okay, fine. Like I'll take the shotgun for a walk, not a big deal. But I'm usually fishing. That's prime fishing time for me when we're up at the cabin. But I might have to go up. Yeah. Just up to that spot just to see if they're there. Well, I mean, why not? It's not gonna hurt nothing.
No.
Yeah, it's kind of how we are. It's pretty much fishing, I would say, is our main focus. I don't want to speak for everybody, but we're definitely doing more of that. I mean, like, even when I'm in Potter County, I go every year to Ole Bull. I mentioned that before, but like, I'll take my gun with me too. I've turkey hunted up there. One day I'll fish, one day I'll turkey hunt. That's tough turkey hunting up there. Obviously, big woods, not a lot of feed and habitat for turkeys compared to like farmland, et cetera, stuff like that. But I've seen them up there. I've been in situations where maybe I've had chances, but not anything where it's successful, obviously.
Yeah. We'll try our luck at turkey. Well, I'll try my luck at turkey at least one day. Try it, turn into scouting. Tell my wife I'm going out. Just go scout for deer.
That's pretty much what it turns into.
Yep.
For the most part. Yep. Oh my God, this is a good tree. Here's some good sign.
Yeah.
Mark this spot for later for next year.
Yeah. Yep. So what would be your guys' biggest tip to a listener for fishing? Since that's mostly what we talked about for trout. Like, what's your biggest tip for a listener?
Boy, there's so many. I mean, I think the biggest thing I hear from newer guys is, how do I get into it? And my biggest thing is look to YouTube. Like I've said before, I mean, it's your biggest resource that you can find. Practice your casting, and just get out on the water. I mean, practice makes perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is people always ask where to go.
Yeah.
And we talked about it already. Like, that map is such a great resource that I don't think a lot of people know about.
Yeah.
I would say it's probably, I don't know how old that system is. I don't think it's very old, maybe within the last 5 years, as far as like how advanced it has become. But if you know, like you want to go for a certain species, or if you're looking to go to a stocked area, a different regulated area, or just no regulated area, all that information is there for you for free on the internet to find. And then like a lot of people ask us about it, so we try to point them in that direction for just knowing where you can go and what time of year you can go.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, that was honestly, I had no idea about that website, and that's very helpful. That website.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So we'll make sure we have that in the description for everyone to find. But I really appreciate you guys coming on, talking fishing, teaching me some things, because I know absolutely nothing about fishing. So I really appreciate the not calling me dumb and making fun of me and all that kind of stuff. But I really appreciate you guys coming on, man.
Yeah, not a problem. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys having us. It's always a good time chatting with you.
Yeah.
Ethan, if you're up Potter County the first weekend, we'll be up there too, me and Josh myself. So maybe we'll see you if you hop in the. I don't know how close you are, but we'll probably be there one evening or two. Drinking a couple beers.
I'll see if I can get Dad, because Dad's been there, so maybe I can get Dad to swing over. And
I'm gonna have to bleep that out.
oh yeah, the secret. Yeah, remember
That's a secret. That's a secret
secret
bar we don't talk about.
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about the
bar. That's a destination spot.
Oh yeah, it's a destination, but
those.
we don't need to know. Certain people don't need to know about that destination spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but don't worry, I'm ready to get rained out on opening day. It rains.
We're hoping we're not, because the place we're going to go, if it gets rained out, we're going to have to change everything. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Well, remember everyone to keep hunting,
Keep fishing.
especially keep fishing. Remember, and what's the rest of it?
Enjoy the freaking process.
See ya.